see it's getting darker and darker, and there's just no way right now for these drivers to know exactly what's going to happen.
These guys are going to have to be really, really careful and tiptoe around the track until it's either
not even 10 minutes into this race, and I feel like we've got enough strategy going on for a whole event, but still a long, long way to go.
There's Yellowstone, there's Yosemite, but for racing fans and for Grid Life's Elkhart Classic, the destination is Road America, the National Park of Speed.
Free ride in the front of the field here. Look at Emil Tab up the inside for the race lead as we head down to the first corner.
And these guys have no idea what they're coming into. Look at this field. They're 2 wide, 3 wide, a couple places slip and slide.
Side by side for the race lead, 54, 48 through 3 and 4, working lap number 60, 110 laps to go. Yusuf Ghali power move to the bottom of the racetrack, making the short way work. They're going to touch down the hill.
This will be a great run for Fuller here.
Yeah, typically ran off the track in the final quarter. That'll have Fuller to get a massive.
Here he comes.
Does he have a look?
Oh, big block here by Sanfilippo into the Carrasco spin Fuller through turn 1, and Sanfilippo hangs on, he's loose. No! And he crashes hard in the exit of turn number 2. Don't try it here, boys. They're going to do it. Gritsko backs out. They touch. They're going to crash. Gritsko going to slam the attenuator hard into the wall, and Jared Tesson hits him as well, and big damage on these cars. That's a huge
Number 4, people are struggling for grip, going out of every single lane, even trying to make a run. It's getting really insane.
Powered by AWS for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli at the Indianapolis 8-hour. We are 7 hours and 18 minutes into this 8-hour event.
John Miller way deep on the brakes to the inside of turn number 1 and 2. The spin, the 3 car gets turned around in the front of the car.
James Houghton looking for a place to go, but he's got Austin Cobb to the inside. A bit of a gap behind. I think that's about 15th or 16th spot as they come out of turn 3. Big slide for this.
Getting a run. He's got it. Going to be a drag racing line. Final corner. Checkered flag waving. Here they come. At Virginia National Raceway. To the line. Thompson, Darling, door to door. Banging doors. Fender to fender. I can't believe what we just saw. The schedule of the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Indy Elite Series has taken us across the United States, from Florida to California and everywhere in between. Tonight, though, we're going to head over to Gateway Motorsports Park, and our focus is worldwide. Now, no, it's not an international race, and despite this track's egg shape, we're not at Motegi in Japan. Tonight, we're at Worldwide Technology Raceway for return to oval racing for Indy Elite, 140 laps with the St. Louis Gateway Arch looming in the background. This is one of the shortest tracks we'll race on all season, but by no means the slowest. This is round 13 of the 2021 Coca-Cola of Kokomo Indy Elite Series, the Tribute to the Troops 140 from Gateway. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn here tonight. Connor, welcome. We're getting closer and closer to the end of the season, but the action continues to ramp up. This time, one of the shortest ovals we'll race on this year.
Yeah, definitely one of the shortest, no doubt about it. But like you said, it's not one of the slowest. It is a fast track. These drivers are hitting about almost 190 miles per hour in the turn 3 on their qualifying laps. And like you said, the action, there's still a bunch of action left in this season, including this race, about 5 races to go. It's still a great points battle at the front with Adam Blocker, Andreas Eich, and Philip Kraus. Only 37 points separate those 3, and this is going to be a big race for 3 of these guys.
Qualifying underway, you'll note Worldwide Technology Raceway constructed in 1995. The first major event here was a kart race in 1997, the day before that year's Indianapolis 500. So think back to the famous IndyCar split, and this is a prime example of one of the places that caused, or it was a result of that, I should say. So cars on track already. Riley Thompson at the top of the board. Qualifying drivers, we've got a couple drivers making efforts right now. Mike Kitchell is one of them in the number 04. Familiar kind of yellow livery on this car with the Pennzoil colors on it. 7 minutes and 19 seconds just to run a couple of laps, so we're going to have some time just to hang out and relax here just a little bit here, Connor. But 140 laps is a pretty short race, especially for an oval race. So I think tonight's action is going to be all pretty condensed. The thing I'm concerned about, though, is making it to the end. The attrition rate is always very, very high at a track like this.
Yeah, because of how fast these cars are going here and how short of a track it is, you don't have a lot of opportunity to pass. We're going to see a lot of dirty air come into play, especially in the tight corners, turns 1 and 2. You're going to see a lot of people maybe possibly making bonsai moves, big dive bumps, and that can cause big crashes. The point you want to make here is just make it to the end. Don't go for that lunge into the first corner, in the first quarter of the race or something like that. You have to make sure you keep all 4 tires and both wings on the car to make sure you can at least get a good finish, because it's going to be very difficult to try to keep your car in one piece and make passes at the same time.
There is David Adams in the number 00, the Sadie Autosport car. rolling through 3 and 4. We noted that the track, just like Darlington, just like Motegi, is tighter at one end than the other. There's also different banking at one end versus the other, Connor, and it makes it for a really interesting race, especially for open wheel cars, where typically when you're on the ovals, you're on the quad ovals, tri ovals, or the oval ovals. This is sort of something different entirely.
Yeah, it's completely different. It takes elements from those tracks you mentioned and kind of just, like you said, shortens them a little bit. You got turns 1 and 2, which are obviously very, very thin, very slim, one way to put it, but you still have to get very slow into that corner. I saw drivers going close down to 150 through turns 1 and 2, and you can use the bottom line right next to the curb, or you can go about 3 grooves higher and use that top line to get the run down the backstretch. But then you get to turns 3 and 4, they're very wide, much wider, but also much flatter, not much banking there to work with. So you have to be really careful. If that car slips out because of a lack of banking, you're going to be hard into that outside wall.
Well, having a look here at the track from up above, as qualifying is not anywhere near complete, but you'll note, interestingly, that we've only had 10 drivers lay down times. I find that pretty peculiar, Connor. About 2/3 of the field has not yet put a lap in.
Yeah, they might be waiting for it to get cooler for all I know, because, you know, track temperature matters a lot, and maybe they could be waiting for the sun to go down. There's parts of the track that are still barely in sunlight, so some of the fast guys, like maybe Chris Stouffer, especially Andreas Eick, who still has yet to put a time down, they might be waiting for the track to cool down a little bit. They might take this to the very end of the 10-minute qualifying session. Adam Blocker as well, he's waiting as well. Still got drivers I think are waiting it out.
So just about 5 minutes left here in the qualifying session for our 13th round of the season here at Gateway. And Andrew Wood is out on track, as you mentioned, and here he comes down the front straightaway to begin his lap right on board.
This is a fly through turns 1 and 2 there. Enough banking to kind of, you have the confidence to grip up, throttle up because of that banking, but into turn 3 here, you have none of that. Very flat, keeping in 6th gear, maybe shift down to 5th. There he goes, get as close to that curb as he can. He kind of missed it a little bit there, but he might go for lap 2.
So across the line for the first of 2 potential qualifying laps, that will put Andrew Wood in 10th, and you're probably going to go a little quicker on your second lap out, so he's going to try to do that this time through. And off into turn 3. This is just full commitment. Down a gear, get the car rotated, use the drivetrain to help that car turn around and head back towards the front straight. Across the line for Andrew Wood. And this time through, it's a 25.644, good enough to put him 4th place. Good run. Here's Andrew Kinsella, 25.637. That's good enough for 5th. Matt Holliba just jumps up to 3rd. And now the floodgates have opened. Daniel Ziegers in the 8 car on track as well. Philip Kraus, Adam Blocker, a couple names that we are expecting to see do very well.
Yeah, I think that was what they were doing. They were waiting for the track temp to get as cool as possible and wait till the end of the session to put their laps down. Now you see the fast guys like Kraus, like Blocker, and now Andreas Eick, who's yet to get on track, but the 2 other main guys are ready to go.
Again, the sun is setting here at Worldwide Technology Raceway in the virtual Madison, Illinois, so the track is going to progressively get cooler, and the drivers are going to try to maximize that weight to the very last moment. Ziegers across the line for his second, or make that his first lap. It's a 26.1. That's only good enough for last, but he's going to go again. And you're going to pick up, once the tire pressures build up here, Connor, you're always going to go quicker on your second lap out. We'll see how he does this time through.
You're watching Ziegers, I'm watching Philip Kraus. Kraus just went a 25.445, and that's already good enough for the pole position on his first lap, and he's going to probably go faster on his second lap here.
Well, that's going to be pretty hard to beat. Andreas Eick has just begun his first flying lap. But here's Philip Kraus off into turn 3.
Oh, big wiggle into turn 3. It shut that lap down, so it gives everyone else a little bit of a chance to beat him, but he already put his mark in right there. The fastest lap on lap 1.
25.718 for Andreas Eick on the opening lap. That's a pretty decent lap. We'll put him 10th. And Adam Blocker to the top of the board in the 74. That was his second lap out, 25.443. Shifts the line from pole up 0.03 of a second. And Andreas Eick out of turn 4. Here's his best run. Needs to beat at 25.443 or better.
No.
25.740. It is not even going to be an improvement, unfortunately. Ray Kingsbury.
Oh,
Ray Kingsbury just
he
ran up and into 4th place with that lap.
Wow, that was a really good lap there out of nowhere. Trevor Greenfield trying to see who else is left on track. Trevor Greenfield just went 8th with a 5.66. He might be going for a second lap. I don't see anyone else on track. 5 drivers will likely not qualify.
Out of turn 4 for Ray Kingsbury. Can he pick up? Going to be the 25.443, 25.442. Pole position by a thousandth of a second. What a run by Ray Kingsbury.
My goodness, how tight are the top 3 right now? Greenfield comes and ends his second lap. He barely improves, but doesn't go up another spot. Ray Kingsbury out of nowhere at the very final moment of that lap, just barely eking out Adam Blocker and Philip Kraus, the main championship guys.
Have a look at this. Ray Kingsbury, the number 25, minus 0.000. Now, my timing shows a 25.442 for Kingsbury and a 25.443 for Adam Blocker. So that's it's going to be less than a thousandth. Down to the 100,000th is how that was determined. So Ray Kingsbury puts himself on pole in spectacular fashion. Here's a look at that weather we were talking so much about as it cools off. The track temp is only 3 degrees above ambient, Connor, so it's probably not going to go down much more from here. So I think from here on out, it's a sprint race. 140 laps is not a long time. There is just shy of 30 drivers here in this field, so it's going to get busy. It's going to get busy fast.
Yeah, it's going to be very busy in the mid-pack especially. We're going to see a lot of stuff, a lot of aggressive moves, I would have to really assume, with a track like this, with how hard passing can be. We've seen how hard passes can be to the point in real life. Drivers just kind of bulldoze their teammates out of the way for wins. Joseph Newgarden did that to Pagano, I believe, a few years ago. So you never know what might happen when trying to make a pass into one of these corners, but it's going to be very rough and rowdy, I'd have to assume.
So Evan Adams in the number 59 is going to roll off in 9th spot. We mentioned Ray Kingsbury in the 25 starting on pole. Adam Blocker to his outside, Philip Kraus in 3rd, Robert Malechka in 4th, and Flynn Lazier, Riley Thompson, Matt Hollaba, Trevor Greenfield, Evan Adams, Ryan Carey, the rest of the top 10. Then it's Tony Schowen, Andrew Kinsella in row 6, Andrew Wood, David Adams in row number 7, Andreas Ike 15th. That is not the starting spot that I thought he would have.
He just really, it looked like he kind of just, in my opinion, he kind of missed turns 3 and 4. Maybe he didn't, but that's what it looked like from here. But 15th is definitely not where he wanted to be. He definitely wanted to be higher up than the 8th row, as Henry Bennett and Daniel Zegers are on the row behind him. And then the end of the top 20, Carlos Gomez and Mike Kitchell, 19th and 20th with 25.8.
So Eric Gonzalez, AJ Musselman back in 22nd. Then Alexander Ball, Joe Branch, Wilson Nito, Aaron Roof, Chris Stouffer, Dakota DiCienzo wrapping up the rest of the field here from Worldwide Technology Raceway. Again, the track will be getting cooler and faster as we race progressively into the nighttime. And in terms of the championship battle, Connor, our eyes are basically firmly on Andreas Ike to see if he is able to overcome the loss that he had the previous couple weeks. Adam Blocker is now 20 points ahead. Ike had a disastrous round at Long Beach last week. So Adam Blocker took advantage there and jumped the spot. Now he's 20 points up. Philip Kraus jumped a spot. He moved himself into 3rd with that victory. Henry Bennett 4th, Andrew Kinsella 5th. So the same players we're used to seeing, but I think my eyes are squarely on Andreas Ike. Is he going to falter this late in the season? He had been on top of the standings for a really long time.
Well, so far, he was good at the beginning of the season, but it hasn't gone well as of late, and this is not, if he wants to pick it up, it's not a good start for now. All the way back in 15th, and Adam Blocker and Philip Kraus, his 2 main championship rivals, 2nd and 3rd, already moved to track position. We know it's going to be important tonight, and Andreas Ike is going to have to fight for it, while these guys with good qualifying effort already have it. So he's got a big uphill climb to get up to that top 5 and close to Blocker and Kraus. If he doesn't get up there by the end of the race, it's going to be very bad championship-wise. He might lose a lot of positions in the championship, a lot of points in the championship, excuse me. It could be bad.
Onto the back straightaway, getting tires and brakes warmed up. You're going to use maybe a little bit of brake here to get the car rotated in, but even at a track that is this size, where typically in a cup car you'd be standing on the brakes for a couple seconds to slow down. These cars with the downforce they carry, we're running the short oval and slash road course package. You'll note the larger rear wing and the different front wing assembly. That's different from our typical oval configuration that runs at the larger speedways. And adds a little bit more downforce, a little bit more security, a little bit more speed. All good things here for the Coca-Cola Bottling Company of Kokomo, Indiana, Indy Elite Series. Round 13 from Worldwide Technology Raceway. Green flag in hand. We're racing from Worldwide Technology Raceway. Round 13 underway. one in the books. So far, Ray Kingsbury hangs on, some shuffling behind them. Tony Showin.
Oh! Car in the wall. Who is that? That's Lester. The 51 car, hard to the outside wall.
Big crash down in turn 1. Lester Rorschach in the 51. A massive hit. That's how quickly things happen. You start this race, you have a goal set in mind to do well, to perform, and the Addict Racing 51 is toast.
Looked like it was all on his own as well. The entrance to turn 1 can be very tough in dirty air. We'll see what happened here.
Oh, he
might
not
have been on his own. Yeah, that might not have been on his own. We'll see. Trying to see who that is behind him.
Is that the
Daniel Zegers is right behind him.
We're going to go off into the corner here with the 50. Oh yeah, he's going to get some help right there. It's turned around.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Daniel probably didn't think that he was going to go deep, and Daniel was ready to go deeper into that corner than Lester was, and the 8 was just not ready for it. And it was just a bit of a mistake there by the 8, and nothing less.
Yeah, that's how things happen sometimes. Here's the onboard with the 51. Yeah, not a lot you can do.
No, I think he was ready to give those 2 ahead of him battling for position a little bit more room. I think he just wanted to make sure he didn't go barging in that himself. Oh, he's spun around on pit road.
Yeah, he's probably trying to get himself into his box. He might have missed it without a lot of steering authority. It's not
Gotta be
looking
careful.
good. So one thing that we learned at Long Beach was in the past, if once your wheels had broken, your car was over and done with. But here, now, there is essentially a situation, which I don't know if it's intentional or not, but if the wheel is still attached to the car, aka it's not lying somewhere out there on the racetrack, then you can repair it, and you're going to see that pop back into position there as the rest of the field, some of the field pits behind him. So he might be able to get this car repaired to some extent. It's just not going to look very pretty.
Mike Kitch will be the first one out of pit road from the ones who did come down pit road, and you're right, he could probably repair that, but from my experiences getting out, just randomly practicing Indy cars, destroying them, and then pitting for repairs, they usually don't get the car completely straight, and you're probably going to have some steering issues on that 50 wide. I don't think they'll get the suspensions perfect, so his steering wheel might be 30 degrees right or left, whichever direction, but it's going to be a handful to go around a oval like this and stay out of the way of the leaders, because they're going to catch him pretty quickly if they don't repair him correctly.
Not looking super bad, so we'll check back in on him after the restart and see how he's doing. Ray Kingsbury is the leader. Again, that's where he started, and we should get the 1 to green either this time or next. And again, single file restarts here at Worldwide Technology Raceway, which keeps the carnage to a minimum, which I like. But this race is going to go by pretty quickly once we get green flag laps in. Challenges, and I mentioned the attrition. This track is typically not very nice to drivers and teams.
No, not at all. We saw right there, if you have any sort of instant, any sort of slide, you have no room to save it. That outside wall comes up in a hurry, and unless there had nowhere to go. Even if he got hit on the bottom of the racetrack, he would have been into that outside wall. There's really nowhere to hide at a track like this with how high the speeds are and how easy it is to lose the car. It's going to be tough for a lot of these guys. One thing we did see on that initial start, the drivers did a good job getting single file on the first lap. Really, we only saw the one side-by-side battle we saw was the one right in front of Lester, and he tried to give room, and it just didn't work out. So we're going to see how quickly these guys try to make up position, because they're going to be single file on their own anyways. So you might see a lot more drivers try doing something drastic in the turn if possible.
You'll note that cutout area over here. You don't want to find yourself over there by any stretch, so make sure you got to keep the wheel straight and steady coming out of turn 2. All right, Ray Kingsbury out front. Adam Blocker is in behind him. Riding on board at the 74 for the restart. Green flag, and Kingsbury does a great launch back to the green flag here, lap 5. Very different line for the 25 through turn 1, a little higher up the racetrack. We're going to see all sorts of different grooves and lines being run tonight. I'm not really sure which one's going to prevail.
Oh, big sideways. Kingsbury almost lost it on his own. That's going to put Adam Blocker in the lead. No, Philip Kraus is going to go under him.
They just split him 3 wide as he slid through the middle, and Philip Kraus takes the lead away. Adam Blocker to the outside. Here comes the 91 into the mix. Oh, this is good stuff on the back straightaway now. Door to, well, I guess side pod to side pod. Adam Blocker noses ahead now on the outside.
I didn't see what happened, but Kingsbury just got loose into turn 3 on his own, and Blocker and Kraus and Robert Moletzka took advantage, and that puts Kingsbury back to 4th.
Here comes Kraus again with a run at the exit at turn 4. He is not going to be denied a chance to lead this race. Down into turn 1, Kraus takes the spot away, if only for a moment. Blocker's going to have the outside run at the exit at 2, and he will muscle it back as they scream down the backstretch at 185 miles an hour. Here comes the 91 of Malechka into the mix, and behind him, Riley Thompson in the 56, similarly styled TDR car. He's battling for 4th.
That's the problem with turn 1. If the leader just runs that outside line, there's really not much you can do as Kraus can get the run into turn 1 again. You either follow his dirty air and wash up the racetrack, or you go to the bottom and lose a lot of time out of turn number 2. It's really pick your poison at this point.
Well, now they're single filed out, and now that Aero wash that you were mentioning earlier is going to be a challenge. These cars punching not a huge hole in the air, but that little hole at speed matters a whole lot. So Kraus is going to have to really get creative to get by Adam Blocker, sneak to his outside or something. It seems like the outside 1 and 2 is definitely the place to be. 3 and 4, I venture to say that it's probably the same deal at that end of the racetrack as well.
Surprisingly, Adam Blocker kind of went lower than Philip Kraus was expecting. That gives Kraus the run out of turn 3, but he's just not close enough. Not enough draft will pull him close enough to Blocker to make a move. He tries entering high and exiting low. Blocker kind of washed up, but Kraus just cannot get by that dirty air.
There's Christopher on the outside of Eric Gonzalez. That's a battle for 19th place. Others forming. How about this one for 3rd? Ray Kingsbury trying to go the outside of the 91. That's real dicey at the exit of turn 2. He did it. That was spectacular stuff.
It was an amazing move. I think that was Malechka who just kind of got in the dirty air of Philip Kraus, and just an amazing move and a, lack of a better term, ballsy move by Kingsbury trying to make up for lost time.
There he goes around the outside and just squeezes through that gap, and smart on the 91 to lift out of that, because that would have been disastrous had he not. Behind him, Flynn Lazier at number 4. We haven't really seen a lot of Flynn this year. Started 5th, running 6th, down a spot from where he started with the 56, the youngster Riley Thompson, not too far up the road.
Making good inroads, getting as much clean air on the nose as he can, and that allows him to get the run on Thompson out of 4. Still has some work to do to get close enough.
Henry Bennett, bit of a moment, racing Andreas Eiten in the 76. It does not seem like the 76 is set up very well, at least so far. His progress has been essentially nothing, and actually backwards a spot, and maybe 2 with the 007 knocked out of the rear tailpipes.
He just has not really been able to do much tonight. He's actually gone back in position, started 15th, he's back to 16th, looking to go back to 17th. Here comes Henry Bennett under him. He hasn't moved yet, but Ike is not looking good. His chances of hopes are dwindling the more he runs like this.
Yeah, again, we have, 5 rounds left after this race, so we're running out of races to dig yourself out of a hole. Ideally, you'd want to come out of here gaining some on Adam Blocker, especially after the big loss that the 76 had last week, or last time out at Long Beach. So far, he is in another points hold of his own doing, unfortunately, and that's really the challenge in all this. As we move back forward to Flynn Lazier, he's now putting enough pressure on the back of Riley Thompson to form diamonds on that carbon rear wing.
Yeah, he's trying everything he can, but just cannot make the move yet. It's going to look to the inside again, but not enough slipstream to get to the inside of Thompson into 3, so he'll just have to back out and get a better run through the center of 3 and 4, but even that won't work, because Thompson's just going to get the run off the top.
Go into single file. This is how this track races, and it all comes down to tire strategy and how you manipulate the grooves around here, which I like, because while this place isn't an all-out brawl like we're going to see at Auto Club in the season finale, it is definitely a chess match in where you place your car. You're going to see Flynn Lazier look to the inside. Just not sure that that's the move you want to make at this stage in the game. He's going to give it a try, but I think Riley Thompson will win on corner exit here, or not. Got kind of bogged down a little bit. They're going to be almost even headed into turn 1 and packed up behind his teammate.
Yeah, Malechka's giving Thompson a slipstream, and he's also giving the dirty air. To Flynn Lazier there in the corners, but Lazier almost clear on Thompson, wants to get up in front of Riley Thompson, but just can't do it. Malechka gives his teammate the slipstream. I think Lazier's about to have the job done here, but he gives Lazier more dirty air. You see Thompson get around him out of 4.
Yeah, he almost had it. He was within feet of clearing Riley Thompson. Now they're still side by side and on front straight behind him. Holliba and Greenfield, the 2 green and black cars behind. They are jumping into this battle now, all happening for about 4th place. Lazier again pulls forward. This time he's clear. He's going to slide up right in front of Thompson as you see Holliba go by Greenfield in the background. Thompson looks left. Nowhere to go, though. He'll tuck back in line.
These 2 teammates were doing a good job working together to not let Flynn Lazier by, but that Lazier machine just looks far too strong compared to the Riley Thompson machine, as Thompson's going to be on the bottom. Here goes Matt Holliba on the outside. This could be trouble for Thompson. He might go way backwards here.
Alba started in 7th, and I thought he had made some progress, but this is going to be the first position that he's made up all night long. Trevor Greenfield is the same. So this is all starting to pop off now, about 19 laps into this race. Here comes Brian Carey and Evan Adams in the 59, also in the middle of this. Oh, big understeer push there for the middle of 3 and 4. Watch the wall, that was tight.
Riley Thompson's on a lot of understeer as well. Even though he doesn't have anyone directly in front of him, he just can't get the front wing of that car really pointed at all. He's really struggling in the corners. Dirty air or not, is he's going to wash up again. Trevor Greenfield to the bottom, trying to make it work. We might go 3 wide down the back stretch. No, he's going to back out. That was Brian Carey backing out.
He took a look at it, thought about it, thought better of it. Lap 20 into a 140 lap race, not worth bidding the car right now to do that move at this moment. He's going to get a better run here. He's got Thompson kind of packed up behind Trevor Greenfield, so the opportunity is still there.
Meanwhile, up ahead of these guys just a little bit, Flynn Lazier has gone up to the 4th position past Robert Maletska, so put him up in 4th position as he's going to try to chase Ray Kingsbury down, but as we're seeing right now, those top 3 are kind of gone.
Checking out of their own zip code at the moment, Blocker, Kraus, and Kingsbury. Battle just behind Evan Adams, about to lose a spot here to Andrew Wood in the number 64. And just ahead of them, Brian Carey looking to the inside once again on the 56 Riley Thompson. Pulls up the racetrack just a little bit here, going to use him up.
Much as you can use someone up in an Indy car.
Yes, I mean, you just use up the racetrack that they will not be allowed to use because you're there now. But the outside groove is just so strong defensively, Connor, that it really creates a challenge for the trailing driver to not only overcome the Aero wash that is really giving you two lane options. Then you have to figure out which lane is going to work better. Can you sneak up to that outside and go the long way around? Or do you have to just trudge forward on that bottom, which seems like everyone's tried to do so far with varying degrees of success?
Seems really tough. If Riley Thompson gives you the outside, you definitely take it, but it really just comes down to where the dirty air is and how to avoid it. As you saw Brian Carey did a good job avoiding it through 1 and 2. That gave him a run down to that stretch inside of Riley Thompson again. Maybe you make the job work here as Riley Thompson way up the racetrack. Well, give Carey that 8th position, but it really doesn't matter what line you take. I mean, yeah, whatever line's usually going to be even, but if there's a car in the outside lane, you pick the inside lane. There's a big send there by Andrew Wood. That got me off track. Wood really sent it. Bit of a slide job on Riley Thompson. You don't see that in the car in a bit.
And it works. Slid up right in front of the nose cone of the 56 car. Puts himself 9th. Just behind them, there was a battle that is still active. That's David Adams in the 00. Evan Adams in the number 59. You're asking, where's the 64? That was passing Evan Adams a couple laps ago. He's all the way up to that 9th spot now, moving forward very quickly now. Once he got the momentum rolling, he can't seem to let it go. Riley Thompson is going the wrong direction here, Connor. He's lost 3 spots in the last 10 laps.
Like I talked about, Thompson's car just will not steer through the center of the corner, and he's just really struggling for any front grip, and it's really costing him down the straightaways because he's not getting the turns well, so his straightaway is going to just be abysmal. He's gone all the way to 10th now, and it's just he's really struggling. Andrew Kinsella is hot on his heels now as Daniel Zegers and Evan Adams battle for that 12th position. Big set there, 2x2 in the back.
Oh, running out of racetrack in corner exit. Evan Adams still has overlap here as we approach lap number 30. And David Adams way down to the bottom of the racetrack. Grab the curbing. You don't really want to touch that around here in an Indy car, but it will get him a spot. And the 007 of Bennett will follow him through. So Evan Adams lost a handful of spots in just one go.
He ran the way top in 3 corner, just didn't work. 12th to 15th in that lap alone, as Zegers is going to be able to fly by all these guys and get some clean air on his nose, trying to set after Andrew Kinsella, who's still working over Riley Thompson. In another battle, a tight battle for 6th. Trevor Greenfield's been working over Matt Oliva on that bottom lane, but just can't get it to work.
Greenfield tucks back in line. For the moment, I'm not convinced that he's going to stay there for very long. You're not missing anything up front. It's still Adam Blocker, 1.4 seconds ahead of Philip Kraus at the moment. And if we could take this race green to the end, 49 minutes of racing remaining, which is not really all that much. So take the spots while you've got the momentum and the tire to do so. First pit stop's expected not too far from now. And here's a look at your leader. out front by 1.3 to 1.4 seconds over Philip Kraus. Here's a quiet portion of the racetrack for a moment. Kraus, Kingsbury, Lazier, Malechka, the rest of the top 5. But Andreas Ike losing a spot here to Tony Schauen at 31. This is, again, I hate to reiterate this and beat a dead horse, but the 76 is just having a poor night.
And it's going to only get worse from here if we can't make any sort of improvements to that car, as he's only gone backwards, not even close to going forwards. He's 13 seconds behind the leader Adam Blocker now, so he's just really not even close to having any sort of pace to even compete for the top 10 right now, so he has a lot of work to do and not a lot of time to work on the car.
We promised you we'd check up on the 51. He is running about a half a second to 0.6 of a second off pace every lap. It is now 7 laps down, so not going great is the answer to that. There's the 91 going by him. As Carlos, sorry to cut you off, Carlos Gomez and Christopher battled in turn 1. Wow, Christopher turned hard left in turn 1 to try to avoid the 48.
This is where it gets tricky when you have a lot of traffic in the mix. Getting by them and battling for position gets really tough. Lester just seems down on pace down the straightaways and just not handling well. Just lets pretty much the entire back half of the top 10 by. Meanwhile, the battle for 8th, Andrew Wood under Brian Carey.
Carey, and using an upper middle groove, will take the momentum back around and hang on to 8th. I think Andrew Wood's a little quicker again. He's been storming forward as of late, starting this race in 13th up to 9th and still climbing.
Another person who's fifth right now, Flynn Lazier. He drove away from those guys battling for 5th. Now, let's guys have made much ground closer to the top 3, but Flynn Lazier is inching closer and closer to Ray Kingsbury. Actually lost some time there, but for the most part, he's been faster most laps.
Trevor Greenfield has been wearing out that Hollow the last couple of laps and hasn't been able to establish a significant overlap, not even enough to offset the 0-2. Hollow was able to run where he wants.
I can't tell if it's Greenfield wearing out Holloway or is it Holloway wearing out Greenfield, because that bottom line, diving down there every single time, trying to get clean air on the nose and beating the third air in general, it's got to be bad for the tires. If he doesn't get by him soon, he might start dropping backwards, especially right now. Brian Carey's going to look at the bottom into turn 3.
Love watching the gearing here. You shift down to about 4th for most of the drivers through 3 and 4. Look at the run that Greenfield got on corner exit. Is he going to take it to the inside? Not quite enough to get there.
Oh, there he goes.
Yeah, but to what end? He's going to lose this momentum, and here comes Brian Carey. Saw the door open on the outside. Now a big enough run to take a ride down to the inside lane. And that power slide 79 was even for a moment, but just, again, if you can maintain driver's right, you're probably not going to lose a spot unless you really make a mistake.
And right now, what's helping Holloway, still got Robert Malechka 5th place's draft, and it's to the point where he's getting draft, but the dirty air also isn't as bad because Malechka's kind of out there by a little bit. So even if, big slide shot by Carey and Greenfield back to the bottom, but even if those guys behind by Holloway get a draft, get a run off of one of these corners, he's still got Malechka's draft to carry him down the straightaway.
Brian Carey does the chess move to win that round, and through to 7th he will go and clear 36 of Trevor Greenfield. Though on the attack.
Whoa! Oh, Greenfield! How does he save that? He's putting it into a wall, though. That was dicey. Almost 3 wide in turn 1 went bad.
That did not work out for Trevor Greenfield very much, but here's how it all began. Here's a run down into turn 1. We were watching from up above. Behind him is this, the 64. Yes, it's Andrew Wood. And then going to turn down into the corner as the caution comes out. It is Trevor Greenfield that set it off and just gets a little bit of a tag and then just rides it up into the fence and nails it with the right side. But the caution is out for the second time today. It was for the stop number 36, who might be out for the race. Brings out our second yellow. Good timing for our first round of pit stops here, Connor.
Yeah, definitely everyone will get a fresh set here, and definitely needed for some of these guys, like an Andreas Ike, like a Riley Thompson, guys who are slipping through the field and really had no grip in the front tires. It's a big one for these guys, trying to make some adjustments possibly and try to get back into the race.
Adam Blocker has led 33 laps this race. 5 led by Ray Kingsbury, and Philip Kraus has led 1. I think that totals up all the drivers that have led. And on to pit lane, they're going to take the hard left onto the access road. You have to use the access roads here at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Yeah, I can't forget that. That would be a big mistake to make if you forget to use those access roads. It's literally the entire field, except for Alexander Ball. Just like trying to see. No, everyone is coming in. Those guys are just a bit too far behind. Everyone will get a fresh set of tires and some fuel.
So coming on down to pit lane for the majority of the field's first stop of the night. This will get you 100 laps to go, so I would bet that you're going to have one more pit stop at lap 90, and that would be it.
That would be the smart thing to do. I wouldn't see a reason to take it any much shorter or much longer unless you're trying to undercut to get out of dirty air. That could be something that comes into play. Undercutting to get clean air. That could be a big thing that happens if we do get the green flag pit stops. It's not a guarantee we get to them.
Rolling off pit lane now, and a bit of a three-wide shuffle behind. Ray Kingsbury gets out 4th. No major shifts inside the top 5. Matt Hollaba jumps up to 6th. Yep. For all intents and purposes, I think everybody is pretty much where they came in, so not a lot of shuffling there. So we got 100 laps to go. We've seen Adam Blocker go out and lead this race. I'm not convinced that he's any faster than Philip Kraus, at least based on lap time. They're within 200ths of a second on the timing sheets. I think this comes down to a restart, Connor. Do you think this is our last one, or do you think we're just ramping up?
I'd be surprised if this is our last restart, but I'd also be surprised if under green flag conditions or even on a restart in general, someone was able to pass Adam Blocker. I don't think it really matters who's the leader. If the leader has a clean restart and doesn't get loose like we saw Ray Kingsbury get, I think they can pull away. That's how bad the dirty air is. If you just, like you said, stay the driver's right in turns 1 and 2 and run the bottom in 3 and 4, it's going to be really hard to pass. And I don't know if Philip Kraus can do that.
You're watching the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Indy Elite Series Round 13. The Tribute to the Troops 140 from Worldwide Technology Raceway. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn tonight. And so far, you've only missed 2 caution flags. One for the number 51, crashed at turn 1 after contact from the 8 of Daniel Ziegers. And the most recent, Trevor Greenfield, after spinning from contact with the 64 car of Andrew Wood. We've had 3 different leaders. Adam Blocker has led the most laps, and we are just under 100 laps to go. They tick off relatively quickly once you're green, and we'll have about 40 minutes of racing left in this race when we take the green flag.
Like you were saying, odd pit exit, no major jumps in position, but one that might be significant. Flynn Lazier did jump Ray Kingsbury for the 3rd position, so you just swap those 2 around, and at the end of that quick run there, Flynn Lazier was putting times up that were similar to the 2 in front of him, Blocker and Kraus. So I'm just wondering how urgent it's going to be for some of these guys, specifically Lazier, to maybe try to gain a position or maybe 2 to get to the lead on this restart.
1 to go. Lights are off atop the pace car. And Blocker, Kraus, Lazier, Kingsbury, Malechka, top 5. And Hollaba, Wood, Kinsella, Carey, Thompson, the rest of the top 10. Reminding you what's coming up on the schedule the next couple of rounds for the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Indy Elite Series. This week, of course, we're at Worldwide Technology Raceway in Madison, Illinois. It's going to be a couple weeks until we see you again. It'll be the tail end of the month. August 31st will be Kansas Speedway, another 1.5-mile oval, before our last road course of the year on September 26th. That will be WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, followed up by Iowa Speedway on October 3rd and October 19th. Not only the finale for the Indy Elite Series season, but also the finale for SimTV. Auto Club Speedway on October 19th, the last traditional SimTV stream you're going to see for a handful of months. Adam Blocker in command of the 74, the 19 to Philip Kraus. Lap 44, green flag back in the air, racing once more from Worldwide Technology Raceway. Stack up in the background, Connor.
That was a big stack up. No contact made. David Adams, Tony Show, and Evan Adams, they did a good job not making contact. That could have been big.
Andreas Ike was up a spot in the pits. It's his opportunity to grab some while they're close. There's Daniel Ziegers on the inside of the 007. This is a battle for 11th spot, and up the road, the 64 of Andrew Wood on Matt Hollaba. This is for 6th.
Wood was the one who made contact with Trevor Greenfield, and it doesn't look like he got any damage out of it, so smooth sailing for now. He's just going to get that 6th position away with a good move on the bottom.
Go Branch out of line. That's the 28. The Coca-Cola sponsored car. Love the look of this classic Coke colors. The inside of Carlos Gomez in the 48. That's a battle for 17th. And Gomez almost found him, or actually that was Evan Adams rather, who's been rim riding all night long. Almost found himself in the wall. Up for the race lead though. Getting dicey here. 10th and a half between them.
Trying to see what happened. Mike Kitchell wrecked on the restart. He hit the outside wall in turn 1, so he's out of a race for the moment. But like you said, Philip Kraus hounding Adam Blocker for the race lead. Could be possibly his only shot at the lead. He's got to get it now.
Here he comes up to the tailpipes of the 74, following in his tire tracks, which I don't think is a super successful way to make a pass. He also could be fairly content with where he is, Connor, but I just don't think you can be. I think you have to make a move whenever the opportunity presents itself here. You can see him turning in a little bit later to try to build a run on the 74. It's getting him close, but not enough to overlap.
Thompson a good move around the outside in turn 1. He moved past Brian Carey for 9th, but I agree with you. You see, especially with under 100 to go, time's running out, and it's going to run out quick with how quick the laps are. You have to make the moves when you can. Whenever you have an opportunity, you just have to take it.
And you're saying, Kyle, you know, this race has almost 90 laps left in, or 90 plus laps left in. What's the rush? Well, the rush is this race isn't that long to begin with. We're 48 laps in, but only 40 minutes to go. 40 minutes goes by very quickly as a race car driver stuck in traffic. You will want to make moves like the 64 of Andrew Wood is on the Lechka down into turn 1, big dive. And Andrew Wood has been making his moves very clear and very opportunistic, I should say, tonight. He's been committing hard to that inside groove. It just didn't work out that time.
Yeah, he's been the aggressor, no doubt about that. He's trying to really send it on that bottom line. Not hitting the curb quite yet, but if he gets too aggressive with it, it might be trouble. So he's got to be careful. There's not really anywhere to go, even if he passes the Let's Not much room to make the pass right now, but anything to get out of the dirty air. He's going to go higher than the dirty air. I don't think that's going to be the move, because Maletska's going to pretty much pull away from him there. As the top 2 are gone, it's still battling.
Now still 2.5 tenths between those drivers out front, but Christopher in pursuit of David Adams in the 0-0. Adams pushes a little bit wide. Stouffer's going to carry some momentum onto the front straight. 90 laps to go now. And for 7th, here comes Matt Hollaba, or I should say Kinsella, to the outside of Hollaba. Takes the spot away. Riley Thompson wants to move back forward. He was going backwards very quickly at the end of that last run. I think he was glad to put some fresh tires on the car, and he's going to get beat to the outside lane. Here comes Brian, or rather the inside. There's Brian Carey in the 79, and he'll complete that pass. He can just clear him at the exit of 2 like he did before. Not quite. Whoa. Yes, he does.
That was aggressive. That's aggressive to do with how fragile these front wings are. Carey got past a few laps ago by Riley Thompson, gets the spot right back to Thompson, right back to where he restarted the 10th.
Hollaba slow at corner exit. That's going to bring Carey into the mix for 8th place now. Up front, the battle has subsided. Blocker retains a half-second lead as we watch Carey try to get by Hollaba.
Again, might try to slide job, just was not as clear as he was the last time. Even then he wasn't that clear, but definitely wasn't clear that time. Avoids a big exit. Hollaba back to the outside. Hard to hold it through 3 and 4 though, but he's got some clean air. Both of them have clean air to work with, but Hollaba just can't hold it down. That's going to give Brian Carey another tight squeeze there out of turn number 4.
I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen a crash on corner exit from that very thing just yet. I'm sure we'll get there. Here comes Henry Bennett. We haven't really talked a whole lot about the 007 tonight. He started pretty deep in the field, 17th, up to 11 plus 6. On a mission for more.
One of the bigger movers of tonight, the biggest mover I think is Chris Stouffer, 26th to 13th, excuse me. Andrew Wood's gone 13th to 6th, but Henry Bennett, one of those guys who just has a really good setup for the race trip, and he's been able to make moves under green flag conditions.
Andrew Kinsella having a look at 6th place down the back straightaway. Here he comes on the 91. Not able to complete it, but he's still going to retain some overlap. He did for a half the straightaway.
It's just amazing how much more pace the top 2 have. Adam Blocker, who's actually gapped Philip Kraus by about 8 tenths now. These guys are already almost 3 seconds in front of 3rd place Flynn Lazier. They're just consistently a tenth to 2 tenths faster than the next closest driver.
Some lap traffic coming up for them, though. And their final pit stop still about 30 laps away. But they're going to have to negotiate their way through the traffic. And it's going to be as challenging as passing lead lap cars here, Connor. We see that time and time again. Lap traffic around here is essentially like passing more lead lap cars, and it can cost you positions as well.
Yeah, you have to be really careful, really conservative around lap cars at times. There's times when you just have to send it, but usually with lap cars, they're going to fight for their lap. Unless they let you by, they're probably going to fight you extremely hard and not give you your preferred line. So you just have to be as patient as you can without losing too much time to the drivers behind you.
Riley Thompson squeezes back around the 007. That pass was almost done. And there's part of me that is surprised that more drivers aren't being a little bit ruder with how they're completing those passes. They're getting in there. But I'm, again, a little bit surprised, and I guess perhaps delighted to see that we haven't just had drivers slamming the doors on each other on purpose, especially down the back straightaway. You want to clear a guy, just run him up into the fence, you know, push him over into that area where the wall comes back. No real world, you know, consequences for doing that. It'll just make everybody mad at you.
Yeah, you probably get the admins mad at you. You still have admins to worry about. So you can't be doing that. Brian Carey's probably been the closest to that we've seen, but his moves, while aggressive, they've been clean, and he's been clear all the time. But, not a lot of other people being that aggressive, but it's definitely gotten Carey under the gun.
Andreas Ike has been, it is like he is trying to scrape up the pavement with a fork before he's driving on it. It's been such a challenge to get the nose of that car to turn for him. And it's just not going super good. Again, we talked earlier about the point situation for the 76. He's still second, but Adam Blocker doesn't make mistakes and doesn't have bad nights, at least not usually. So you can't rest on the points lead that you had all season because it's gone. You're at a deficit now to the points leader. So this is going to be a bad round. I don't think we're going to see Andreas Ike dig himself out of this hole. I think he's looking squarely at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca at the end of this month to bounce back and maybe gain some points back on Blocker.
Yeah, he's going to have to, in gaining those points back, even if he wins, he's got to hope Philip Kraus and Adam Blocker have bad days like he's having as well. Because right now, Adam Blocker's first, Philip Kraus is second. Blocker's been dominating. Those two are dominating in general, and Ike is back here battling in the mid-pack, not really able to make any sort of move on Tony Schoen for the 15th position. It's just a tough go at it, and it could be an oval problem, and if it is an oval problem, he's in trouble, because I think Laguna Seca is the last road course on the schedule, and then it's just ovals. Different ovals, like Kansas, the 1.5 miles, and then Iowa, a very tight 3/4 mile track, and obviously the big one and all the finale. So if this is an oval problem, he's got to figure it out quick, or else he's getting toast.
And in the past, he has performed okay on ovals, and when I'll pull up his season, we can look through the oval results, as now you see Matt Hollabaugh under attack from Riley Thompson. But the last oval that we ran on was Indianapolis. Andreas Ike finished second there. He finished 4th at Richmond, another short oval. Finished 10th at Texas, 3rd at Phoenix, 3rd at Homestead. It is not a weakness. It's just something lately has been off for the 76. It's not ovals themselves. It's just his results as of late. As you see Thompson get by Hollabaugh. And here comes Henry Bennett, who's going to crack the top 10 for the first time tonight, I should say. Excuse me.
Yeah, Hollabaugh got really loose at it too, and almost him and Riley Thompson got into an accident. Shuffle Hollabaugh way back into the order. Probably might lose another position here to Daniel Zegers, but as you're talking about, you're right. He has had decent finishes. It's not like ovals have been his weakness the entire season. He just hasn't had any pace as of late, and it doesn't really matter what track he has been the last few races. He just hasn't had what he had earlier in the season, and he's got to find that soon, and he doesn't really have much time to find it. He's going to go wide out of turn 4. That was Lester. The 51 they had to pass. Hollabaugh and Stouffer just barely avoiding chaos there.
How about this? Chris Stouffer, 27th and 12th. Talk about big movers. Not a driver that we have had our eyes on a whole lot tonight. And I don't know that he's got the time to run all the way to the race lead, but he is certainly setting up for a top 10. Here's Tony Schoen taking the 0-0 3 wide with another driver. It was, I think, a lap down car. That's the 51.
Yes.
Eric Gonzalez is also out of this race. Trevor Greenfield 3 laps down, but running. And the other 22 cars on the racetrack still running and on the lead lap.
Eric Gonzalez just parked at no incident for him. He was done for the night by choice, as Already seeing how lap traffic can affect the race. We saw 3 wide out of turn 4, and we saw 3 wide out of turn 2, and that 3 wide kind of allowed Tony Schoen to make that move that we saw on David Adams. So that's lap traffic is only going to get worse from here as we get more cars involved in the lap traffic, excuse me.
Closing in on the halfway point of this race, 32 minutes of racing left if we go green to the end. Adam Blocker again continues to show his dominance. Philip Kraus, and this is almost like Long Beach a couple weeks ago, just roles reversed where Philip Kraus was the driver all the way out front. And Blocker was the one chasing. Now Blocker has put a car between himself and Philip Kraus that is only going to hurt the purple number 19.
And it's Trevor Greenfield, who has pace on his own right, really not a slouch, obviously, as we saw earlier in this race. So we'll see if he lets Philip Kraus by. He's actually going to give him some dirty air, so that's going to really annoy Kraus, as he was still within 1.1 seconds of Adam Blocker, but pretty much probably half a second gone in that lap alone.
1.4 is the gap now, back up to the race leader of Blocker. And Riley Thompson has a bit of a gang forming up behind him. It's 1 second up the road to Carey in 8th, but behind him is 2 tenths back to Bennett, 4 tenths to Zegers, 4 tenths to Stouffer, 7 tenths to Holliba. So a little bit of a cork in the bottle forming here, and the pressure is building, starting with the 007 of Bennett.
They're trying to make something work from way high out of turn 4, and who knows? Yes, it's Andreas Hike who almost nailed the wall out of turn 4. He's going to drop back to 17th again. Joe Branch gets by him.
Kinsella runs 7th. Another driver quietly running pretty well this season, 5th in points. And his last couple finishes, a 4th at Mid-Ohio, a 3rd in Road America, coming off of a lot of success. The only finish outside of the top 5 he has had in the last 5 races was a 21st back at Indianapolis. So certainly on an upward climb, and it's actually short of where we'd expect him to be based on those past results, so still some work left to do.
Yeah, but he's definitely putting in the work. You see he's done really well so far in this race, just trying to make up those positions. Up 5 positions from 12th, and he's been running really good times. He was about 2 tenths faster than Andrew Wood in 5th, a 10th faster than Maletka in 6th, right ahead of him. So he's definitely still going up, has some longer pace possibly. We'll see if he can make up any more positions.
Matt Holliba, how about this story? Climbed forward in the first run. Lately, he's been going the wrong direction. The nighttime has not been the right time for the 0-2. He's on defense now.
Yeah, that was kind of a transition point we saw when the night pretty much fell completely over the racetrack. We kind of saw some other people just kind of fade and other people come up to the front. Wilson Vito had a big set on Andreas Hike, didn't make it work. But we've seen some comers and goers already. We saw the 56, Riley Thompson. He charged upwards, then he went backwards again. Andreas Hike has been neither of those things. Adam Blocker and Philip Kraus have been good from the start. Ray Kingsbury had the pole, but he hasn't really shown anything after his slide. He's in 4th. Andrew Wood's gotten better as the track's gotten cooler. A lot of comers and goers, and still probably more comers and more goers to go for the rest of this race.
Out front, Adam Blocker leads by 2.1 seconds. We are well past halfway. And approaching 60 laps to go as we've got a battle or an issue for Matt Holliba in the 0-2. He's going to hit pit lane. 35 laps into the run here.
This would be pretty early. Let's see if he's parking it.
I don't know that you can go from here.
I wonder if he's just parking for the night. I mean, he was not running that terribly to be doing that. He comes out on Blocker to put a lap down. Very early for sure. Still 65 laps to the end from here.
And we know we can run further than this, at least by 7 or 8 laps. He's just doing a normal pit stop. Again, we had drivers go 40 laps on a tank prior. Well, he's in and out. A little bit surprised to see that, but we'll see if anybody else takes tires or fuel on anytime soon. 63 laps to go. Here comes Andrew Wood. Earlier than I thought we'd be having.
Yeah, this is definitely early. Maybe it's a 2-stop from here. I wouldn't know. Brian Carey, that's the next car coming down with him. So this must be strategy. Maybe a 2-stop race from here for these guys. It is an 80% fuel tank. I saw drivers go, the max I saw drivers go in the race, in practice, excuse me, was 40 laps. So, what have we got?
We would be short.
30.
Yeah, we would need, there was basically 100 laps from the restart. So you needed 50 from each tank, which doesn't seem like it's doable. So we're probably going to see some drivers. Again, if you can make it to lap 90, you're good to the end. But I don't think we're going to see drivers make it as far as we thought. I think the other thing that factored in, trouble for Greenfield. Got the fence out of turn 2. The other thing that factored in is we had a crash and a caution that allowed drivers to save a little bit more fuel, so that could have extended the runs just a little bit.
And Greenfield just washed up in front of a Let's Go all on his own, and that might be night done, his second crash of the night, as he just had a rough one ever since the first incident. And we haven't seen anyone come down pit road other than those, I believe, 3. So
yeah, so you're going to have to make this a 2-stopper because we've got 60 to go. We're hearing that fuel, as we notified, or we saw earlier, 40-ish laps, maybe a little more, but not 50 for sure. So I thought that you could maybe stretch it there, but it doesn't look like that's been the strategy. You got to go 10 more laps to make it to the end. That's a big ask probably for a lot of people.
the problem with it, I don't see the advantage of short pitting. I think it's just better to let the fuel run long, as opposed to a Cup Series car, a stock car, which might maybe have 2-3 seconds of fall off. The Indy cars aren't like that. The fastest lap this run by Adam Blockers at 25.9, and he's still running 26.6. There's only 7/10 of fall off, and he's in clean air. And the guys on new tires and dirty air are still going to run kind of slow laps. So I feel like just letting the fuel run as long as it can is probably a good choice to make. As Philip Kraus is going to try not to cut, though he comes to pit road before Adam Blocker.
They might be running this like a road course where
spin turn 4. Lester spins and the caution's out. I don't think Philip Kraus got the pit road.
Oh, that is going to really mix things up. We had about half our field, a little less than half our field on pit lane, and a little bit more than half not on pit lane just yet. That's also going to split up some of our race leaders. That is going to be big dramas here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Let's have a look.
Saw him right here. I think he clips the curb. There's Philip on pit entrance and on the curb. Bit of a half spin. Did a good job to save it. Really didn't do a full spin, but it was enough to throw the yellow.
So that's our third yellow of the night, and that is really going to make things very interesting to see how they're going to cycle out. So here's now the challenge: is can you go 45 laps?
I don't know. I'm just trying to sort out to see who was on pit road when the yellow happened.
Well, it's not going to matter. You're still going to have to pit again.
Yeah, Riley Thompson was in his stall when the caution happened, basically. Philip Kraus didn't make it to the pit entrance, so Philip Kraus is going to have a penalty, which he really couldn't do anything. Flynn Lazier was just exiting pit road. I think he's going to be a lap down as well. A bunch of people who already pit are going to be trapped here. That's the worst possible time for a lot of these drivers for an incident to happen.
Yeah, not a good timing at all. And so at lap number 84, it's our third caution of the night. Just over 20 minutes of racing left if we were to go green from here. And Blocker, Kingsbury, Kinsella, Malechka, Bennett, your top 5 at the moment. This is all going to shuffle, so we'll pull the timing away just for a minute until things shuffle and sort back out. So again, no one can make it from here based on the fuel economy that we've been seeing. So that you're going to split this again into another, and the strategy that Matt Holliba did is looking a little less silly now. The problem is he's buried in traffic. But pitting earlier and being in a better spot kind of been.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like I was talking about with the Indy cars, there's not much tire fall off, not much time fall off, so it's usually better to just run the fuel to the end and not even consider risking a yellow coming out. We're trying to see who's right behind the pace car. Andrew Wood, Brian Carey, Matt Holliba, Flynn Lazier, Riley Thompson are all guys who are going to have to somehow, I don't know if there's going to be a wave around, but that's what would be taken. And Philip Kraus, on one hand, he's not even going to have the chance, because I believe he's going to be, I think it's showing him on the lead lap right now, but he has some sort of penalty, and I haven't seen it get cleared, so it's a whole nother situation for Kraus when he really didn't need a night to go sour like this.
No, again, Kraus is on the attack in terms of the points picture. Gained a spot after the Long Beach victory and closes him up to Andreas Eich. He's only 17th points back from the 76 car, which I think he will eclipse regardless tonight. Note that Philip Kraus has 4 wins this season. That's twice as many as anybody else. That's not accurate. Christopher DeMerit has 3, but we haven't seen Chris in a little while. But everyone else that is still active, there's no one that has more than 2, which would be Adam Blocker. So There's a lot left in terms of the points picture to shake out between here and Fontana in a couple of months.
You still have guys not as close to the points lead as the Ike and Kraus, but Henry Bennett, Andrew Kinsella, Ray Kingsbury, guys who are having really good nights tonight, who could possibly get inch closer to, if not Andreas Ike, maybe Philip Kraus, if Kraus can't get that penalty sorted out. Brian Carey as well, Riley Thompson, those guys right behind Ike and Kraus by about 50 plus points. They could have big points nights, excuse me, they could close up. Still trying to figure out if Kraus is going to get a penalty, because he did enter a closed pit. I would assume he'd get it. If not, it would be not bad.
Yeah, typically,
if he somehow didn't get one.
My understanding is that typically you'll get penalties in line with iRacing's normal structure, unless it's an error. And unfortunately, while that timing is poor, it is not an error to receive a penalty for entering closed pits. It was just unlucky. And so I would expect a end of the longest line penalty to stand for Philip Kraus.
Yeah, and even if he didn't get a penalty, he came down pit road under yellow, so all his track position's going to be gone regardless if he doesn't get penalized. It's showing him in 16th right now, as Andrew Wood, Brian Carey, and all those guys take their wave around. And they also, all these guys lost track position. Riley Thompson, Flynn Lazier, who was running in the 3rd position as well. That's a big loss for him, and Andrew Wood.
Some big gains for Zegers, Schowen, Stouffer, Bennett. They all gained big time, so did Kinsella. Ike gained a whole bunch. He's up inside the top 10. That could save his night. So some good fortunes there. We are about 13 laps from pit window to the end, and I'm curious to see if anyone is going to jump out of traffic to come to pit lane right at lap 100. I'd say I'm going to bet that at least one person gives that a go. Otherwise, we'd probably see pit stops around lap 110 to 115. Time to go racing once more after our 3rd caution flag of the night. Adam Blocker has been out front for the majority of it. Green flag back in the air. And looks like 53 laps to go this time through.
This is going to be interesting to see all of these guys who are at the front, top 5, top 10 speed, or winning speed like Philip Kraus, have to charge their way through the rest of the field. As look at the scramble in the back of the field.
Oh, Ray Kingsbury charged turn 3 hard. It's going to open up the door for Andrew Kinsella to take a run for 2nd. Here he comes. He's going to grab it across the line, and Kinsella's going to muscle his way through, but can he hang on to it? He cannot. Kingsbury sails around the outside lane and takes the spot back. Car almost in the fence. That was Stouffer at the exit of turn 2.
Stouffer's all the way up to 6th from 26. This is probably the drive of the night for anyone. He's way up through the field thanks to that pit incident, but he's also just been fast in his own right to see how much farther he can get through the field. And I'm interested to see how far away Adam Blocker can pull away. Philip Kraus is the only one who can even touch him.
Well, with the 2 behind him scrapping for position, I don't think anyone's going to have a chance to go run him down, unfortunately. This time through 50 laps to go. Kinsella settles for 3rd. Henry Bennett, though, creeping into the mix. The battle's happening behind him for 10th. Wilson Nito and Joe Branch side by side.
They'll be side by side for 10th. Branch can't really hold it. Nito, I think it's his first time in the top 10, all the way back from 25th. Another hard charger. Is really just waiting to see when Philip Kraus gets into the picture. Of the guys taking waves, he's the farthest up to 14th. Andrew Wood 15th. And here comes Brian Carey. He's going for 17th. They're almost 4 wide down the back straightaway. Adams, Oliva, Thompson, and Flynn Lazier.
Here comes Thompson to the inside. Again, got shuffled way back. Caution.
Trying to see who that was. Didn't see anything. Could have been Lester again?
Potentially. Yeah, he's on pit lane now for 10 seconds. Tells me that he's on the break. Oh, man, yes.
Oh.
Big crash down there. Is this?
He's already crashed.
Back even farther. This is on the back. Coming onto the front straightaway, I should say.
Oh, that was a huge hit. Just lost the car.
Yeah, this is, at this point, this is the first time he got crashed. The second time and the 3rd time, that's 3 strikes, you're out in my mind.
Yeah, it's I remember doing the Road America race with Finney, and he had a rough time there. Just puts him in the wall again, and then it spins it out and causes the yellow. it's definitely like there could be a 3 strikes you're out thing. I was just he kind of really shook up the race with the half spin he did, and then safe to say it's just really been a rough night for him.
So back down to pit lane. Do you think you can stretch it? 47, 46.
Ray Kingsbury doesn't think so. He's going to stay out. I think you can still exit the pits on that little runoff right before the wall, so maybe Adam Blocker would do that. If not, that would put Ray Kingsbury to the lead. So Adam Blocker might think he can make it on fuel from here. Others cannot. Kingsbury stays out. Schoen stays out. Andreas Eick stays out. That's a big strategy move for him, and Philip Kraus stays out with him.
That is gutsy. I like the call because you're going to get a whole bunch of track position. This is all within the realm of possibility, though. You fuel this car up, you can pit again, right? You can come back down to the next pace lap, and the pace lap after that, top off before the restart. You're going to be good, I think. You'll be restarting lap 96, 97. That's within the range, I think, if you save a little bit. And
I don't know if we'll see another yellow. It depends on it. I don't mean to be rude, but it might depend on if the 51 gets back on track, because it's just been a rough night for him.
Drive him into the ground. Why don't you twist the knife?
Adam Blocker got off the pit road first. Kinsella is out in second, so that's a potential big jump for Kinsella. Bennett, Stouffer, Wilson, Nito. As a guy like Adam Blocker might not top off on fuel, but the guys at the end of this line who pit, like a Brian Carey, Matt Hollaba, Riley Thompson, guys who are at the front, they might benefit being able to top off because they're at the back of this line.
You're watching the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Indy Elite Series, round number 13 from Worldwide Technology Raceway. I'm Kyle Heyer alongside Connor Horn. You missed a bunch if you weren't here with us earlier. 94 laps into this 140-lap race. Most of the race has been led by Adam Blocker. Some really good battles behind, though, that got shaken up with a crash out of turn 4 from the 51. That basically happened right in the middle of a pit sequence that shook up everybody. And now with just over 45 laps to go, the question is, can you make it to the end on fuel from here? Half the field thinks yes, half the field thinks no. So with 45 to go next time by, we're going to get a restart with 44 to go.
Trying to see if anyone tops off at the back. I don't think anyone did. Only one who did was Riley Thompson, so he'll be able to have some extra insurance. And everyone else is going to try to make it to the end. I think only 5 actually stayed out. Ray Kingsbury, Tony Schoen, Andreas Eick. Eick's the really big one who stayed out. He's been struggling all night. Maybe some cleaner air can help them. Philip Kraus is back up to 4th with some strategy, and Andrew Wood also up to 5th again. And I think AJ Musselman and Flynn Lazier, 2 more drivers who stayed out, so 7 in total.
Haven't really seen the 54 a whole lot, but there is the AJM Consulting IR18 running in 6th place. He started this event back in 22nd, so he's up to 6th. Tony Schoen, 11th to 2nd. And Christopher fell back a little bit because of the pit stop that he just made. But again, 44 laps is going to be the run we're going to have to the end. The drivers up front, there are 7 of them, cannot make it to the end. The drivers behind them, the other 20 or so, they might be able to make it, and that is a big might.
Riley Thompson's going to top off again. Musselman came down, so he will get some fuel in the car as well. Matt Hollaba also did come down to top off, so mainly Hollaba and Thompson are the guys who are going to be probably the best on fuel, but track position-wise, it won't be good. And I think it's a good risk. I think it's a great risk for the guys who didn't pit, especially for the guys like Kings, Philip Kraus, and Andrew Wood who had speed, because we could still easily have a yellow with how aggressive the racing is going to be at the back, in my opinion. We could easily see another yellow. It could bring everyone else back to pit road again, and I think it could work in their favor.
Yeah, a quick yellow wouldn't be great because the other drivers just wouldn't come hit pit lane, but if we go 15 or 20 laps and then have a yellow, the tire difference might be enough to be an advantage that you could actually use. So lots left to discuss, lots of questions still in the air. But there will be 44 laps left in this race when Ray Kingsbury takes the green. That's under 20 minutes of racing. Kingsbury, Schoen, Eick, Kraus, Wood, your top 5. Green flag back in the air, racing again from Gateway.
Eick did not get a good restart. Kraus is going to immediately go for the 3rd position.
Kraus can take the short way around on the restart. You're going to easily complete that pass, so he will take it. Eick going to get swarmed by Wood on corner exit Nope, not quite. Wood tucks back in line. Riley Thompson, AJ Musselman came back in and topped off with fuel, as you mentioned. So did Matt Holloway.
Oh, Wilson Nito got a bump from Maletska. I don't know how he saved it, but Nito basically got a bumper or a front wing from Maletska. I don't know how they kept it straight. Big swerve by Joe Branch.
Here's a look. Just a touch. Big shuffle there. That's NASCAR short track racing stuff right there. Don't see that IndyCar a whole lot. At least not successfully.
No, not successfully. Interesting to note, this is the first time Kingsbury's been in the lead since he almost spun turn 3 at the beginning of the race. And so far, he's put a decent gap on Tony Schoen. Philip Kraus still trying to work over that Schoen machine. And Adam Blocker hasn't really made much progress. He's still sitting in 7th.
Down the backstretch, Wilson Nito under a fire from Malechka and Zegers. 3 wide down the back straightaway into turn 3. Zegers and Malechka. But Malechka backs out, leaves Zegers to it. And second place under fire now, Kraus and Schoen.
Kraus is easily going to get it from Schoen. Andreas Ike about to go backwards, almost contact. Him and Andrew Wood almost collide. And that puts Ike way up the racetrack, almost into the wall, but gets the run. Here comes Flynn Lazier on both of them. Does he try 3 wide? No, he stays in line.
3 wide just is a death sentence here with how flat the corners are. There's just no banking to lean on. So if you're forced to take a very particular radius, you're going to find yourself in a pretty deep hole pretty quickly. Here's Lazier now having a look at Andreas Ike down into turn 1. 40 laps to go. Pit window is open. Nobody's taken. Everyone's focused right now.
Yeah, everyone's focused. I just don't think it would be very smart to pit like this when the tires are fresh. I just don't think you'll see anyone pit until the very end of the run or just smack dab in the middle. I'm just wondering if, because I kind of expected Blocker to at least gain a few positions by now. I'm wondering if he's making sure he can make it on fuel. He knows these guys are probably short on fuel and need a miracle to make it on fuel. He might just be making sure he can make it on fuel himself.
Wilson Nito has had a very exciting couple of laps since the restart, up in 13th place this season. Remember how it all began back at Homestead, Miami at the very beginning of the year. Started on pole and was crashed by the exit of turn 2. Same thing happened a couple weeks later. It just was not his year this year with the pace that he had had. It just never turned around for him the way it should have.
Yeah, he definitely has had a lot of close calls and just hasn't been able to really close the deal. At times it's just been out of his control. Ike actually got by Flynn Lazier back to 5th position. This is a big moment for him, but yeah, Wilson Nito, he's just sometimes things are out of your control, and that's just racing. It's just been one of those seasons.
Wood and Schoen, that was dicey through turn 1.
That was almost disaster. Wood clipped the curb and just barely missed Tony Schoen. He might have made a little bit of contact, but it didn't turn into a catastrophe, as Wood's got to regather some of his momentum here before Andreas Ike has a look.
There's field a single file. This is almost the calm before the storm at this point. Again, still awaiting the top 7-ish. Still have to make a pit stop. The ones behind him might have to make a pit stop. But I bet you they're running on a reduced fuel map. That could be the lack of Adam Blocker's progress, in fact. Connor is running a fuel map down or 2 to save a little bit of fuel just with the electronics that you're providing.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I expected him to be maybe into the podium at this point, but I think it's just him being conservative and making sure he can make it on fuel, which is very smart because, like I said, he probably assumes that these guys in front of him, the top 6, need a miracle to make it. When he doesn't, all he has to do is be conservative, a different fuel engine mode, and just conserve that fuel, and just be sure you can at least make a charge to the front if these guys can somehow make it.
And he would be the one in contention to win the race if the others were to run out of fuel. And they will. They will have to come to pit lane, so that will cycle Adam to the lead. Andrew Kinsella's the second back, but if they run out of fuel, the next driver that I think is in a better spot would be Riley Thompson in 18th, but that's a little ways back. And I would feel okay with fuel map, a little bit of early lifting, some short shifting. I would feel okay if I had pitted with 45 to go, probably.
Yeah, like you were talking about, these top 6, Kingsbury, Kraus, Schoen, Wood, Elk, and Lazier, they kind of need a miracle. I don't think they can stretch even close to 50, which is what I think they need. And at the end of the day, the guys, Adam Blocker, Kinsella, they might be able to make it. It's still not a foregone conclusion that they can make it. They might be short as well, but we know for sure these top 6 need to pit again. But if those guys behind them can't save enough fuel and they need to pit as well, it could just be a positive strategy for guys like Andreas Knight and Tony Show, and they weren't really near the front.
Lucinito sizing up the 91 down the back straightaway. Big run to the inside, and he will take it, and Mileshka will give it to him. At this point in the race, I'm a little bit surprised that happened, but 91 moves over.
91's been a part of some aggressive racing on this run, so I think he just wanted to make sure he doesn't get overly aggressive with some of these guys. So I think he made a business decision there to be short with it.
Lazier touch on Andreas Ike, crashed. Championship contender out of the race.
No yellow yet, up against the outside wall.
It will be though.
Car coming on the outside. Got no room to get down yet.
There it is.
There's the yellow.
So fuel economy all aside, we will not have to worry about that any longer, but the biggest implications of that are Andreas Ike's championship hopes just took a massive hit.
Into turn 3, we'll see what happened. Flynn Lazier got the run. Ike's been struggling with the front nose of that car. Goes to the bottom.
And just gets tagged.
Yep.
And
yeah, I don't think Ike thought a little bit of net code as well there. No doubt about it. It was a big amount of net code actually. I think Ike thought Flynn Lazier would be closer to the curve entering than he was. And
well,
that's what happens.
He came in at a deficit to Adam Blocker, and he's going to leave with a larger one most likely. And that is just disastrous with only a handful of races left in the season to claw back any mistakes, any crashes, anyone else's mistakes that collect you. But everyone's going to come hit pit lane. You're good. Well, not everybody.
Adam Blocker won't. He'll get his lead back, while the top 5 who are left after that incident will pit for their tires and, more importantly, fuel.
Yes, this actually worked out. I guess the track position loss that the front 5 were going to take is now negated.
Yes.
But at the same time, they do have to give up those spots. And with this extra caution, I am pretty confident that everyone else that pitted on the previous caution is good to go to the end.
And who this ends up being really beneficial for is Andrew Kinsella. He's going to restart 2nd, and that's a big jump for him. Henry Bennett 3rd. Stouffer will be all the way in 4th. Cedars, Nito, Branch, Gomez, Evan Adams, Matt Halba, I think, will be the top 10. So a lot of shuffling outside of Adam Blocker at the front.
So the calm before the storm again, with the caution that time triggered by the Flynn Lazier machine, the 4, getting into one of the championship contenders, Andreas Ike. His night is essentially over. And at this point, he's going to have to, if he can drive that car, he's going to want to do it, because there is 3 drivers behind him that are still on the racetrack that will overtake him before the race is over. That would put Ike unofficially 24th, which is not where he wants to be. Even 21st would be better. And the wing is back on that car. Hopefully he'll jump back in it before he loses too many more laps.
Yeah, Trevor Greenfield, Mike Kitchell, David Adams all behind him. Adams would be the next person to pass him, and then Kitchell and Greenfield are actually on the same lap, 10 laps down each. So very important for Ike to get back out there, especially because we could still see some more wrecks. It's going to be very wild for these last 30, just under 30 laps, and nothing is out of the question right now.
2 laps to go in the caution sequence here. And a reminder for those that don't know, those that are not in our Discord and actively following, one of the reasons for backing down SimTV this fall is because of some new developments in my professional career. I will be in Nashville next weekend, well, beginning this Thursday, at the Nashville GP weekend, working for SRO America as a play-by-play announcer alongside Ryan Marine. I will be replacing Calvin Fish as Calvin has to attend to IMSA at Road America. So there is a lot of really exciting things happening in my career professionally. So really, really excited for that trip up to Nashville, or I should say down to Nashville at the tail end of this week. We'll be announcing GT America, which is a GT3, GT4, and GT2 mixed class series that will take place on Saturday for 40 minutes and Sunday for 40 minutes. And I'll be joining you live on the GT World YouTube channel, as well as a tape delay on CBS Sports, so make sure that you tune in for those. So we're going to have, what do we got, 25-ish laps to go here, Connor?
Yes, it'll restart with 25.
Let's take a pick here. Who we got? We have Adam Blocker, we have Kinsella, or is it somebody else that wins this race?
I think it's either going to be Adam Blocker or someone like Philip Kraus or Ray Kingsbury. I think those are the main three to look at. I don't know how much, I don't think new tires are going to make much of an effect, but if you're looking for new tires, it's Kingsbury or Philip Kraus. But other than that, I don't see much of a challenge for Adam Blocker. I think it's going to be really tough to pass him. Well, we got barbecuing on pit road here. It's a lot of smoke coming from there. Someone's blowing the wrench in.
It's the 51
The 51.
car.
Now the car is caught on fire, so that's just never good. It's been a really rough night for him.
Racing gods are not happy.
No, they are not.
All right, time to go racing. This could be our last restart. Adam Blocker in command. He's the points leader. Andrew Kinsella, who's 5th in points, will restart in 2nd. Henry Bennett, Christopher, Daniel Ziegers, Nito, Branch, Gomez, Adams, and Holliba, the rest of the top 10. 25 laps to go. Green flag back in the air here at Gateway.
Big stack up in the back. Phil Lazier is going to back a bunch of people up. Andrew Wood makes a move to the bottom. Another stack up barely avoided.
That was a messy restart. Gamesmanship increases at the tail ends of these things. People are trying to get a little bit crafty, hoping that it won't get seen. Brian Carey, big moment at the exit of turn 2. Behind him, there's Alexander Ball. We have not mentioned him once tonight. He's going to shoot the gap 3 wide as Carey hits pit lane. Is there trouble?
Oh, let's go. Almost lost it. At the same time, Ray Kingsbury got sideways and Philip Kraus. That's the battle of new tires side by side with each other. Well, there's 2 separate incidents in turn 3 and 4. Now that Philip Kraus is going to... No, he's not going to pass Kingsbury. Flying around the outside is at 25.
Oh, I sense more dramas. Big block by Philip Kraus on the back straightaway. Going to move over to the left. I don't think that was the move to make. Shawan's going to go the long way around, but they're bottled up.
Kingsbury just does not have the grip in turn 3. They're going to be 3 wide out of turn 4. 2 rows deep, as a matter of fact. That's going to be Evan Adams on the top. Kraus switches to the top himself. Leaves Kingsbury on the bottom.
There's no way we get the rest of this race green. Everybody's lost their minds. The door is open. It's all sorts of chaotic at the exit of the corner. Here comes Malechka. He looks 3 wide for a minute, but backs out. Evan Adams, big moment at the exit of turn 2. He backs it down high again in 3 and 4.
I don't know how they made it this far. Kingsbury just does not have the front end. He doesn't have the rear end stability, seems to get through turn 3, and that's costing the lead and tire-wise, to Philip Kraus. If there's Kraus up to 10th, only 1 spot gained by both of them.
Shawan at the bottom going by Evan Adams, who's down to 16th after restarting in 10th. Kinsella and Bennett for 2nd place. This is under fire now.
Adam Blocker's pulled away from them quite easily. Kinsella just does not have a car to work with Adam Blocker right now. Andrew Bennett's trying to get there, but he just can't quite do it. And how about Christopher? All the way from 26th place. He started dead last, and he's all the way up to the top 5.
Good run for Christopher in the number 13. Shawan and Malechka side by side down the back straightaway.
A bit dicey here into the corners. We're going to see Carlos Gomez washed up. Here comes Philip Kraus with the new tires under Matt Holliba. That's for 9th position, but doesn't have the draft to carry it under him. Whoa, Kraus really sent it into turn 1. He's going to get the job done on Holliba. He's going to pass Carlos Gomez 2 for 1 right there. How about that?
Holliba moves drivers left, throws the block on Ray Kingsbury, and goes by Carlos Gomez all in one go. But pushes big time at the exit of turn 4. Opens up a weakness. Kingsbury slots into the draft. Ooh, the 48 bounces off the fence. Down the front straightaway, 19 laps to go.
Kraus is by this. Holliba up the track. Here goes Ray Kingsbury, maybe by. No, Holliba gets the run off the top. That's going to get Philip Kraus at least some relatively cleaner air to maybe set sail for the 7th position on Joe Branch. And he's got Wilson Nito, Daniel Ziegers, and more up ahead.
Riley Thompson thought for a minute if it had gone green and the others had run out, he would be in the catbird seat, but he's all the way back in 15th and still climbing, digging himself out of that strategy hole. Joe Branch and Philip Kraus side by side. Give Kraus 7th spot now. He is on a mission.
Meanwhile, Andreas Ike has gotten back in the race. He's 6 laps down. He's fallen back to 22nd. David Adams passed him, but no one else will. Oh, look at Holliba just going way up the racetrack to give the dirty air to Ray Kingsbury. Just barely going to work.
He got it. Laps clicking down very quickly. It's 1.1 between Blocker and Kinsella for the lead. Holliba keeping the 25 corked up behind him.
Wilson Nito, he has nothing to defend Philip Kraus with. This is an outstanding drive. Kraus up to 6th into turn number 3.
He's one of the fastest cars on the racetrack at the moment. He is on a mission. As they come out of turn 4 on the front straightaway, look at the mess behind him.
And what if he gets a yellow? If he gets to the front close enough to Blocker and gets some sort of yellow, he is in a very good spot. Look at this scramble for about 8th. That's not going to work.
Kingsbury just sent it through 3 zip codes on the brakes down into turn 1, and he got it done. Passes Flynn Lazier, Andrew Wood. Oh, Malechko, look out on the inside of Holliba. Very tight corners at 3 and 4.
I don't know how they made it work now. Flynn Lazier doesn't get a good run out of 4. Here comes Andrew Wood for, I think that's going to be the 9th position now. Holliba's fending off for 11th. He's just been dropping and holding people up. Lazier around the top keeps ahead of Andrew Wood.
Are you dizzy yet? This is chaos here at Gateway.
My mind is not in track right now. This is just absolutely outstanding. There's battling all around the racetrack. All sorts of lines being used. The track's definitely been widened out.
Rubber has come in. The line's getting more creative. The driver's getting sendier. 14 laps to go. 5 minutes is all it's going to take to crown a winner here. Andreas Ike officially out of the race, 23rd place. Unfortunate. He's going to drop to 24th unofficially. That will be where he will finish.
Yeah, it's just going to be a tough pill to swallow for him. Seeger's trying to fend off Wilson Nito for the 6th position. Meanwhile, Philip Kraus is just all attack right now, up the 4th position past Christopher. And it's a bit farther up the road to get to Henry Bennett, but judging off his pace right now, he can easily get there.
In podium position in one more pass, and I think he can do it. Ziegers and Nito drag race into turn 3.
Ziegers almost got a bump from Nito into the corners. They'll go too wide there, and Ray Kingsbury also on new tires, like Philip Kraus, just hasn't been able to drive up through the field in the same amount. But he's still trying to make it work. Andrew Wood takes a peek on Phil Lazier. Doesn't have the position to do it, but he'll send it low anyways.
Oh, that was a big moment for Nito. He just drove in there and drove Ziegers way up the racetrack, commandingly took the position away. Wow, look at Kingsbury slot himself in line just for the slipstream for a moment.
Lap traffic's coming up. Mike Kitchell's going to be right in the middle of this. This might be dicey if they don't sort it out in time.
Who said they were sorting it out?
Very good point.
Clearly crawling like this all the way back to the motorhome lot. Oh, this is a big stack up here at the exit of the corner. Very dicey. They're through.
Does a good job by Kitcher just to slam on the brakes and let him go. He's got another pack to give up. The battle for 12th is just as intense. Maletska trying to fend off Joe Branch. Holliba's been passed. Showing and Riley Thompson in the mix as well.
Dicey, 10 laps to go. Whoa, that was very scary for a moment.
Right now, Philip Kraus, he doesn't really have a shot at a blocker, but he is still the fastest car on this track as we've got 2 really big packs battling hard. This is brewing for like a 10-car pileup.
This is spectacular stuff. Under 10 laps to go now. Under 4 minutes till we crown a winner. Joe Branch on the inside of Riley Thompson, who is on an upward charge.
Oh my goodness, Flynn Lazier and Ziegers, tight battle between those two. That's for the 7th position as Andrew Wood and Ray Kingsbury just look on. They can't do anything.
Kingsbury and Wood in lockstep behind the 2 in front between Ziegers and Lazier. Drag race on even footing into turn 3. That was the first track that existed here at the Gateway Motorsports Park Complex, was the drag strip. Then it was the road course, and now finally in 1995 the oval. Today in 2021 it is a spectacular sight to behold. The IR18 here, the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Indy Elite Series. Oh, that was inches!
How did they pull that off? Lazier's trying everything he can to get that bomb to work, but can't do it. Now he's going to get freight trained by Wood and Kingsbury, while Maletska and Holliba have cleared Riley Thompson, who's also down by Tony Schoen and Joe Branch.
Only inches at 175 miles an hour, and here comes Wood barreling up the outside. Now he will not be denied a chance at 8th place. He will take that spot, but Lazier will defend on the bottom of the racetrack. Kingsbury watching behind in the Smart VR car. The yellow and black livery going to take the run here, but which line do you go with?
You might want to make a 3rd line with it being about close to 5 laps to go, but even that's still risky at this point. Don't want to throw away 135 laps of racing just for a silly 3-wide move. Meanwhile, this battle's still going. Philip Kraus is kind of stalled out, but he's going to go for a big send on Henry Bennett into turn number 1. Gets even with him, but can't hold it.
Trying to get to the podium spot. He has one more car to pass. He is going to have 5 laps left to do it. Adam Blocker out front. He is in his own race, quietly leading this by 2.5 seconds. It is getting very sketchy behind him.
Andrew Wood, that was a big block on Ray Kingsbury, but it turned into a big slide job send for the 7th position. He's going to make it work. Zegers is out to dry. Kingsbury fills that hole. Almost contact between the two, maybe 3 wide. He's going to go for it.
Here comes Lazier. They're 3 abreast through turns 1 and 2. Lazier throttles back up. Through the middle is Andrew Wood, or rather Zegers in the 8 car. My apologies, all very black silver cars here. That's going to be a crash.
That's going to work.
Oh,
it's
goodness.
Did. Kingsbury saves it. Here comes Lazier to the bottom. Meanwhile, Philip Kraus in the turn number 1, another send, and he's going to have Henry Bennett this time up to the podium for Kraus.
Drama's all over the racetrack. I cannot believe we have not turned the car upside down and backwards. Wow, look at the 25, the way he exited the corner with authority. Bennett wants back on Kraus, but he can't do it.
It just does not have the tire for it. And meanwhile, Philip Kraus will likely not get the Kinsella for second, but definitely another really strong drive. But Henry Bennett's going to go to the bottom again, maybe get that holding position back here. He's going to go into the grass. Barely makes the corner.
That was never going to work, and it didn't. Zegers and Flint Lazier, these two are going to tangle.
Whether it's during or after the race, it's one or the other. Maybe both.
If we can make it to the white flag, we'll be safe. If the caution comes out here, the race will be over. Well, let's go to the inside of Lazier now at the exit at turn 4. But Adam Blocker is a long ways ahead of us, 8.5 seconds to be exact. Well, they continue to scrap for position after position. Look at Andrew Wood defending from Kingsbury.
That's a big protect there, but meanwhile, we're going to get this one ended under green. White flag for Adam Blocker.
That is a sight to behold for everybody, hoping that they can finish this one out without ending up turned into the concrete. Wood to the inside of Kingsbury. Kingsbury to the outside of Wood.
Kingsbury's going to get that spot.
Out front, Adam Blocker comes out at turn number 4. Tonight, he led 115 of 140 laps. He's going to win his 3rd race of the season as the points leader. He gets the checkered here at Gateway. Behind him, Kinsella 2nd, Kraus 3rd, Bennett 4th, Chris Stouffer behind him, and Nito Kingsbury Wood. Kingsbury Wood. Wow, that was a tight one there. Then Lazier, then Zegers, Malechka, Holliba, Thompson, and others.
I think we got our money's worth.
Oh, man. That was a heck of a race.
A very, very tight and very entertaining last 25 laps. That was spectacular.
And that is what IES does best. First trip to an oval since Indianapolis back in April of this year. It's been months. They performed and put on a show. What a battle. Here's a look at your race results. Let's start off with the first page, how don't we? Here's Adam Blocker, gets it done. 3rd win on the season. He's going to massively expand his points lead. And unfortunately for Andreas Ike, that is going to be a disastrous run in the points picture.
Yeah, we'll see how the points stack up, but he might fall into the clutches of guys like Riley Thompson and others. It's just, he did not have the pace, and on top of that, he had bad luck to go along with it with the incident with Flynn Lazier. Just a disastrous night at Gateway for him.
Moving on back, Matt Holliba just missed out in the top 10. Riley Thompson recovered pretty nicely for 13th after being buried in traffic. Brian Carey, I don't think he got the finish he necessarily deserved. The big losses tonight. Andreas Ike, Eric Gonzalez, who was running pretty well earlier. David Adams, Trevor Greenfield had a solid run going, but again at the top, this top 5, you could this entire top 10, you could mix it up and spit it out any different way. It doesn't matter. It's all going to feel like a proper top 5 here for IES.
I just can't credit guys like Chris Stouffer and Wilson Nito enough. Nito and Stouffer started 25th and 26th, and they finished 5th and 6th. And those two had great drives. And obviously Philip Kraus all the way from about 12th position with 25 laps to go all the way up to the podium. 3 outstanding drives by those 3.
Waiting on the drivers to join us here in the booth, but we have to take a minute to step back and admire what we just saw. That race was phenomenal. Now, it started slow, but after that final restart, it really ramped up, Connor. That was spectacular stuff.
Oh, it's more than spectacular. I can't even begin to describe how spectacular that was. Everyone was biding their time, making sure their car stayed in one piece for the first 110 laps. And then after the restart with 25 to go, some drivers on old tires, some drivers on new ones, everyone just let all hell break loose, and they went with the mentality, if we wreck, we wreck. And somehow no one wrecked in all that, and it just made for a completely outstanding finish.
Andrew Kinsella finished second on the night, the number 14, a couple seconds back. Most of the chaos of those closing laps was behind you, Andrew. I'm sure you're happy to hear that. But a second place, your runs lately have been phenomenal, and you're just gaining so much momentum. You got to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy with that. It was really good strategy, really good race from really all of the power slide guys. What was it, 5 of the top 6? Like, just incredible team effort. Adam out-qualified us and had track position the whole race, but everyone just did a fantastic job, and definitely very happy with that. Very pleased to carry some momentum after I had to miss Long Beach.
It's been our first oval race since Indianapolis back months ago. We're about to hit a pretty oval-heavy part of the schedule after our next round at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Do you feel like you've got this team has these cars dialed in for the ovals for the last part of the season, and is that going to give you a massive advantage over everybody else?
I do think that if there is one advantage is even if we don't go into the week necessarily with the best setup, we come out come race time with near the best setup or the best setup, and then we just work. The other part of it is, and this is especially good for ovals, is we just work so well together, and we always seem to come up with some really good strategy, and collectively we just have that chemistry, and I think that's one of the big secrets for the power slide guys is just how well we work together.
Well, Andrew, congratulations. A second place run, another top 5 to add to your season. We'll see you at the next round. Best of luck to you. You're hitting the best part of your season right when you need to. So best of luck to you, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks. Talk to you later.
Adam Blocker was the winner tonight, and it was just shy last week, but this week gets it done. And as the points leader, with the second place driver finishing all the way down in 24th, Adam, that was a run that is going to be a turning point, I think, in the season. That's going to shuffle Andreas Eich almost completely out of it, and you as the clear favorite heading into WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. First of all, congratulations. It looked pretty easy from your perspective tonight, but out the mirrors, it was very chaotic. Take us through your perspective.
Well, definitely wasn't easy. I mean, first qualifying was super tight. I mean, I only lost to Ray by 1,000th of a second, and likewise I only beat Phil by 2 or 3 thousandths, so super tight, especially for a short oval. And yeah, I mean, at the start, Ray got really loose there on that first restart, and that was probably the scariest one of the race. I had to go on the outside of him. He did a good job to save it, and yeah, and then Phil and I went wheel to wheel, and that was really crucial for me to come out in front of him there and out of turn 2. Yeah, my car was kind of loose at the beginning of the stint. I think I was struggling at the beginning, but I think our long run pace was the best in the field tonight. So, definitely want to thank all the power slide guys for working on the setup, and, I think it was pretty awesome. I mean, as shown by, we had 5 cars in the top 6, so it doesn't get much better than that. But, yeah, and then after that, it was really just cruising, except, Phil got unlucky with the pit end thing, and then we had a little bit of a strategy shake-up there at the end. That caution came out where we could save fuel and make it, and we were just hoping to not have a poorly timed yellow. We kind of got one, but there were enough of us that stayed out where we had a buffer to fill.
Well, a great run and another great win add to your list of victories, and as I understand, that will tie you for the most wins ever in Indy Elite with 10, tied with Joshua Chin. So congratulations. We're going to see you next race out in a little while, a couple of weeks from now at Kansas Speedway. So best of luck to you there at the next oval. We'll see you.
Yep, thanks. Didn't realize that.
All right, Philip Kraus, 3rd place tonight. Philip, strategy kind of got in the way. Caution at a bad time took you out of the running, but still finished 3rd. You got to be pretty happy with that. It'll be a points gain, especially on the 2nd place driver of the points, Andreas Eich, but a pretty disastrous night. Your summation of all the things that happened this evening.
It was a race for sure. It was pretty fun though. The start there with Ray and Adam was really tight because Adam was a bit slower on the short run than I was, and so those few short runs at the start, we had restart, stop, restart, start. Sorry, yeah. But I was able to get really close to him, but I just couldn't hook the bottom well enough to stay alongside him into 3, and I knew he'd never give me the inside in 3. Didn't really have a chance to get close enough anyways, because most of my run was getting built through 3 and 4. But the pit stop was the real shame, because I was maybe 2 feet away from getting in there completely clean, and that probably would have won the race, but obviously didn't work out like that. Had to start at the back and to roll the dice, and somehow he came away with 3rd, so can't be too mad about it, but it's unfortunate. Felt like we could have won, finished 2nd at the very least, but that's how it rolls sometimes.
Had the pace to do it, couldn't quite get there, but a 3rd, still a podium and a top 5. Best of luck to you at Kansas at the end of the month. We'll see you there.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Connor, wrapping things up here from WeatherTech, Worldwide Technologies
That's
Raceway.
at the end of the month.
Yes, apparently. Wow, what a race! Certified Sim TV Classic, as you put it in the YouTube chat. A great event, but that's going to wrap it up for the night. Your final thoughts here from Gateway.
Gateway's much racier than I thought it would be. We expected single file the entire night, and for some of the night we saw it. Really, it was hard to make a pass with the dirty air, but once the few cautions started rolling through there and we got some strategy involved with fuel and tires and all that, it ended up just being extremely exciting, and we saw the outside work, we saw the bottom work. Even the outside was working in the flat corner 3 and 4, which I was surprised about, and we saw a lot of great drives from Chris Stouffer and Philip Krause, and obviously a masterful drive by the 74 Adam Blocker. He just did an outstanding job, dominated the race, and extends a point lead.
Extending the point lead with only 5 rounds to go. That's exactly what Adam Blocker needed to do. That's going to do it for us here tonight from Worldwide Technologies Raceway. We're going to see you at Kansas Speedway at the end of the month. We'll see you there. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.